Hello, regenerated nation. It's Sihle here. Oh my gosh, it's so hot. Okay, so I just want to come with a word, um, short one. So last year, the Lord had, I think it was like in September or June, the Lord had impressed upon my heart. Well, actually, I just heard the words, the year of Jubilee. Yeah, the year of Jubilee. And I was like, okay, that phase kind of like seems um familiar, but I just wanted to, refresh my memory at that time and to learn more about it. But to fast forward, so that was like June, July last year, and I had still been traveling. And when this year began, the Lord reminded me again of that word, right? The year of Jubilee, or the phrase. And so I was in prayer, and it came back. And so I thought to, you know, Google search it once more to refresh my memory. And I thought like it something quite vital for us to keep in mind in this new year. So it says on Google, the year of Jubilee is the year at the end of 7 years of Shemitah, which is sabbatical years. And according to biblical regulations, had a special impact on the ownership and management of land in the land of Israel. According to the book of Leviticus, Hebrew slaves and prisoners would be freed, and debts would be cancelled, and the mercies of Yahweh would be particularly made manifest. So in this Shemitah, the 7th year, which is the year of Jubilee, in Jewish, I want to say tradition and belief, slaves would be freed, debt would be cancelled, and this had a big impact on ownership and management of land. Now, backdrop, because I don't know if I've actually said this before in my other videos of how, or I wasn't specific about how God relocated me back to the city, Cape Town, South Africa, from Port Elizabeth. And so we had been instructed to sell everything that is land, property, whatever else that we had, like around the house that we couldn't travel with it. So like beds, tables, whatever the case may be. So some things were sold, some things we gave away. And when the Lord had said this, it was at a time where I was questioning, like, so where is, and when we had been moving, the move was towards our promised land, right? So then we were given a particular place. We had a particular suburb here in Cape Town to be in, and we had to circle that land. We basically went from one side of Joburg to the other, and so in this whole time we had been Airbnb-ing, short-term leasing, mind you, without jobs, right? Because we packed up and left everything. And so God was just leading us on this revival mission in communities, and we met some people. We would evangelize to some misled, some accepting of the word, and others not. And we mostly we were doing the work at home. We were doing the evangelical work at home. We'd be praying in each and every suburb, because I want to say it's quite a big community. So it has semi suburbs within the whole Bloberg area. So we'd be going to these different places wherever the Lord felt a need, wherever his children were. And every time that we would go to these certain places, and almost like as a confirmation, when sometimes we'd be worried if like we heard properly, about the next place that we'd be going to, like we would either see houses with like, let's say, crosses outside of it, or like a saint with like a saint's car, and how we would know that is there'd be like a Bible on the dashboard or something of that sort, right? Even a trailer, even trailers. Some were selling ice cream, whatever the case may be, but there'd be something. There'd be a curd, there'd be a cross, there'd be something. Some would wear things like jogging groups. So it was quite, it has been quite amazing how God has been working. So I keep referring back to the past tense because I believe now that, you know, that phase or season is over, and now we are finally coming into a space of settling, right? Because we there's an end goal. There's an end goal. It wasn't just not aimless, but it wasn't just a place of being in loop, or place of being, what is that word, in limbo. There you go, in limbo for good. But we knew that there would be a time where the Lord would establish us in a certain particular area, and where then He would help us meet, you know, our tribe per se for fellowship. And because we have moved out of the conventional church settings, and we believe that the Lord had led us into doing that, and so now we are no longer being silenced. I sense, I'm going on a tangent, but we are no longer being silenced. I sense a bold movement that's coming where you know, the remnant is not being exposed. The remnant is now coming out. Where we've been in the background, we've been silent, unknown, even in, you know, the formal church settings or the four walls, you know, of the tabernacle. But now we even then we weren't known. And even when we moved out of that space and, you know, worshiping in the homes, like you know, the disciples of the book of Acts, right? Because they worshipped in homes. And even later on, the apostles, you'd see how Paul would be like, you know, the church that is in so and so's home. And so I believe that, you know, that's what God has been leading the remnant to. Because if we remember properly, it was even the church itself that had chased Jesus away. And so in turn, the disciples never returned back to the synagogue, to the temple, after Jesus' resurrection, right? And so he would visit them, the 40 times that he was seen, he would visit them while they were convening in homes. And so they continued things in that manner, you know, for the longest time. We don't know when, up until where church was then now once again, like the four walls was now reestablished as, you know, being in a congregation. But the congregation then was in someone's home, and fellowship was in someone's home. And the church was the body, right? The body of Christ, which is us, right? The temples of God. So yeah, He's been leading us slowly away from the four walls, and then worshiping in homes, and then sending us into missions in suburbs, in cities, and praying for revival. And that's what we've been doing for quite a while. I will say maybe 3 years now. And so, but we knew that not the end goal, but we knew that there'd be a time of establishing, and in this establishing, He had been given. I went back onto the how Moses was leading the children of Israel out of Egypt, right? This Exodus. And so it's really, now that I'm thinking about this, Exodus was from the four walls, and Exodus was from, you know, our comfort zone and into a new land, right? Of milk and honey. And so, whoa, I've gone off on a tangent. But, and so this is the word that He gave me then, right, of this year of Shmita, because I was a little worried, like, okay, so we the funds that we are surviving on are those that He'd provided for us, maybe through selling of certain things or like other means. He'd been providing this whole entire time. And so I was like, okay, when we're running out of funds, like, what do we do? And it seems like, you know, it's scary, like, when is it? And He had said the year of Jubilee. And when I also searched it up, if it truly, like, when was the year of Jubilee, it said from September. Yeah, so I'd been given this word in July, and then July close to August. And then it turns out that last year, September, was when the year started. The year Shemitah was to begin in the Hebrew calendar, right? So, and then with us, is a Gregorian calendar. the year is now 2022 and this year. So then I was reminded of this, and like, how amazing is it? Like, we serve a living God. We serve a living God. He's the Ancient of Days, and he's still doing things according to the way that he used to do them before. And so, like, when we receive words like this, it's like, oh wow, okay, even though I'm not in Israel, like, we are the descendants of Abraham, aren't we? And he was the first one to receive that promise, right, which went then forth to his children, Isaac and Jacob, who was then named Israel, and that's what Israel is named after Jacob now, isn't it? And so, and his children, which made the 12 tribes. Anyways, so I want to read it again because it's so fun. The Jubilee is the year at the end of 7 cycles of Shemitah, according to the biblical regulations, had a special impact on the ownership and management of land. Okay, so definitely there is an impact coming, an impact coming on ownership of land, right, and management of land. And so clearly the Lord is saying he is bringing us unto our promised land, and our promised land is not just the land itself, sorry about that, it's not just the land itself, but every other promise that he has given us or is laid upon our hearts that we would be receiving. And of course the debt cancellation. So this is what we ought to expect in this time. May we be expectant, right? Because he blesses us according to our faith. So may we be expectant of that land. May we be expectant of promises fulfilled in this time. God bless you so much. And I know that he's about to bless us for our obedience as the church. And he's about to just pour out his grace and his mercies, as it says here, right, upon us, Yahweh's mercies and his grace over us. So may this word be encouraging to you, and may you take it to the Lord. And thank you all so very much. God bless.